That's what they say when we're together. And watch how you play. They don't understand. And so we're running just as fast as we can, holding on to one another's hand, trying to get away into the night. And then you put your arms around me and we tumble to the ground. And then you say, I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. Look at the way we gotta hide what we're doing. 'Cause what would they say if they ever knew? And so we're running just as fast as we can, holding on to one another's hand, trying to get away into the night. And then you put your arms around me and we tumble to the ground. And then you say, I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now.
We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. Right now, right now. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing it, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. But he doesn't have to. He can if he wants to, but he doesn't have to. You want to talk about it? We don't have to. You want to talk about it? We have a card this weekend. Kinda. Not really. You want to talk about it? We don't have to. It's a nice card. Oh my goodness, do we have something from the UFC this weekend. But before we get into that obvious ridiculousness, first and foremost, how the fuck are you gentlemen doing this evening?
Have at her, sunshine. I see you staring.
I'm tired as fuck. That's about it. But I'm here. I'm kicking.
Well, at least you're here.
Right.
Well, fucking, we've got traditional hangover, what I'll call hangover pudding, because it's nothing but a mush of fucking shit. But it's something. It's better than nothing, I guess.
If you were underwhelmed going into last weekend, hold on to your pants because you're gonna be even more underwhelmed this week. I'll just say that.
There are a few highlights.
There absolutely are. I will just set it this way: the card or lack of a card going on in the UFC side of the things this weekend is such that we are not going to subject anyone to forcing them to defend it in the pit this week. We're just going to talk about the things that are worth mentioning out of the rest. But before we get to that, as we like to do around here to kick things off, a little bit of news and recent events, interesting facts, and fight announcements that have shaken down the pipe since we saw you fine folks last. Two, not technically recaps, but from last weekend that didn't get their chance to get talked about last weekend, and definitely deserve a moment of any combat sports fans' time. First and foremost, the announcement made during last weekend's show, 2020-23 Pioneer Wing Hall of Fame inductee, Jens Pulver. Much fucking earned and deserved. Very fucking cool to see the UFC making that right, and then later on social media to see his reaction to it live and to see how much it fucking means to him, knowing what he gave to earn his spot there was fucking awesome. So fucking A, Jens Pulver. Cannot wait to see that man crying with a fucking trophy in his hand. That's gonna be fucking awesome.
Fuck yeah, long overdue. Didn't matter what kind of bullshit they had tiff going on.
Yeah,
I'm glad to see they did the right fucking thing in this case. And
yeah, that man literally bled to help make the UFC what it is. You talk about blood, sweat, and tears. That man literally gave all fucking three to make the UFC what it is today. So
fuck some who's up in there. Hey,
That motherfucker, dude.
yeah, think that war with BJ Penn.
I was just gonna
uh,
say the war with BJ alone should have been enough to get him in the fucking Hoff status, in my opinion. And then you start talking about some of the fucking really crazy fights that he was in. That motherfucker was the OG badass, in my opinion. Like that was the dude when Joe Everyday Man could get in the UFC. That was the motherfucker that looked like every one of us at the time and was just kicking ass and taking names all the way to the fucking top, dude.
oh
Very
yeah,
cool. Get it.
well deserved, and to see his reaction to it live because he had no fucking clue. They obviously didn't tell him.
Yeah, they just told him we need you live for something, and then had him on a Zoom, I believe. And then you
Yeah,
see it like just hit him, and he's like, "What did they just say? Oh shit!" And then it clicks.
to watch the raw emotion out of it was fucking amazing.
Yeah, we were all Jens Pulver for a little bit there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was very cool. Um, and then the other one that didn't take place at the UFC event, but actually took place last weekend alongside the UFC event, down in Rio de Janeiro, one Jose Aldo Jr. won his first professional boxing debut and looked pretty goddamn good doing it. Much better than I think anyone gave him credit, because everybody knows Jose has always been a good fucking striker. So him making the transition over to straight boxing was definitely something he would be capable of doing, but I don't think anybody really thought he would dive right in and look so fucking fluid right out of the gate. So yeah, he's definitely got some fucking money left to be made and some fun to be had in the squared circle for damn sure.
yeah. That he had that nasty uppercut he threw during that fight.
It was like a short, yeah, like a short hook uppercut that just come out of nowhere.
Fucking
Yeah,
beautiful.
like Mike Tyson's punch out style shots. That motherfucker was throwing star hooks and shit.
Yeah,
The
Yeah,
best part of it is he's already got what his next fight booked on Jorge Masvidal's shit,
icon
and
shit.
he's deep in talks with boxing with Floyd late this summer.
Yeah, dude. Like I'm fucking here for all of the Jose Aldo fucking money boxing fights. All of them. Line them up one after another. Fucking another dude that literally bled to help make the sport what it is. Let that man make some fucking cheese, man. That man make some fucking cheese.
oh yeah. Let him make some generational wealth.
Yeah. Because his name already has legacy down in Brazil. Let that man make some fucking money so his family never has to fucking struggle. So if anybody deserves that, it's definitely fucking Jose, in my opinion. I was very fucking happy to see that and see he's lining him up. So he's gonna get there, I believe. Um, we got it's kind of strange the way that it was announced, because it was kind of during the fights, but it was kind of like it was announced unofficially before the fights, but during the fights it was confirmed. Dan Hooker is officially injured and out of his fight with Jalen Turner at UFC 285 in 2 weeks, March 4th. But luckily they did find a replacement fighter willing to step in and take Dan Hooker's place, and it has been confirmed. Ink has been put to paper and dried. It is official. Staying on the card is Jalen Turner. March 4th, now stepping in, will be one Mateus Gamrot. I really liked that fight when it was Dan Hooker. I thought it was a decent test for both men. I'm almost morbidly curious about this now that Gamrot stepping in. Um, Not that I don't think Turner is capable of doing this. Turner is absolutely a capable fighter, but I'm not 100% sure he is on the same level as a Mateusz Gamrot. I think Gamrot is just a little bit ahead. I think he's a little more well-rounded. I think he definitely carries a lot more fucking power and is a lot more capable of when and how he weaponizes it. So, like I said, I think there's still a chance for Turner to do this, but I think Turner is definitely facing a lot more of an uphill battle now than he was in Dan Hooker. I think he and Dan Hooker are right neck and neck experience and talent wise, I believe. I don't know, man. I think this is Gamrot kind of almost stepping in and flexing his dick a little bit here.
Well, on the other side of that though, that does leave him on a short leash. So this might be good for Turner, being as he was already fucking in camp and working.
Yeah, he was ready for all this. Yeah, that's the other side of it, is that now Gamrot has to step in like a week and a half's notice and then go through the fucking weight cut and a rush camp and the whole 9 yards for a very wily and very, like I said, very capable dude in Jalen Turner. So it's going to be a good fight still. I don't know if it's going to be a better fight, but I'm morbidly curious, more so now that it's fucking Gamrot, than I was interested, as I genuinely was interested when it was Dan Hooker. So it's going to be a good one either way, but now it's a whole different kind of interesting, I think would be the right way to put it. UFC 287 taking place April 8th. As if they needed more interesting fights added to that, they gave us one anyway. Chris Barnett stepping back in to take on Chase Sherman. Barnett had a little bit of a hiccup, but this definitely feels like the UFC is kind of tossing him Sherman to get his mojo back, so to speak. And I think that is absolutely a fight that Huggy Bear is 100% capable of winning stylistically and talent-wise. I think Barnett has the advantage over Chase Sherman. And I love me some Chase Sherman. That Vanilla Gorilla is tough as fucking nails and stronger than fucking 3-day-old reheated coffee. But, man, Huggy Bear is dangerous everywhere. I feel like he kind of just got caught just the right way at just the right time in the last fight, and it went bad for him real quick because look who the fuck he was up against. But I feel like this being a much better matchup for Barnett, this kind of feels like Sherman better get his shit together, or they're going to use this as the ass whooping he takes to give him walking papers again for the third time now.
Hi. Just saying it's a possibility.
Like I said, I love me some Chase Sherman. I've been a fan of him through every one of his fucking weird runs of the UFC. I was a fan of his fucking run in BKFC. I was stoked to see that he got signed back to the UFC again, but much like every other time he's gotten signed and re-signed to the UFC, he just seems to perpetually stand on his own dick and get in his own way every chance that he gets, and it kind of feels like he's doing that again. But the silver lining this time is that Huggy Bear might be able to use Sherman standing on his dick as his own springboard to get back to where he was originally headed. So we will definitely see how that plays out. The next one I've got here, what we have now been confirmed as UFC Kansas City, April 15th, as if they needed, much more on that card. We're already getting a little more stacked onto that card in the form of Ed Herman versus Zach Cummings. That's going to be a very, very interesting fight, especially considering that Zach Cummings is a Kansas City boy. So that'll be a nice hometown pop for him, hopefully there. And if the MMA gods are not cruel, we might get some live broadcasts from the I'm No Joe podcast live from UFC Kansas City. Fingers crossed, we'll find out for sure in a week or so. But definitely shaping up to be a very nice card. Maybe we'll get to see it. We'll find out. Coming up after that, the following weekend, April 21st and 22nd, because that's weirdly how they do it every fucking time they go there. Bellator 294 and 295 will be taking place in their 2-night Bellator Hawaii ritual that they do when they go down there. One of the cards will be headlined by the Grand Prix finale of Rafion Stotts versus Patchy Mix for the belt and the $1 million, which is very fucking cool. The other night will be headlined by Liz Carmouche defending her title in Hawaii. Ironically enough, the co-main event to Liz Carmouche defending her title in Hawaii is a pair of Hawaiians, Alimale McFarland, former champion, and Kana Watanabe, in what is anticipated to be Elimale's final fight. Strange that they're doing it in Hawaii against a Hawaiian and not for the belt, considering Bellator seems to love letting people retire with their belts. But, you know, what are you going to do?
Bellator's gonna Bellator. That's all you can say in that case.
Yeah, exactly. Bellator is going to do what a Bellator is going to do, no matter what anybody else says, because Scott Coker. So the following week after that, the April 29th card, location TBD, because of course, the UFC side of the house has added a very interesting fight to a, as of now, very naked fight night card. The return of Contender Series standout Chao Barallo versus Michel Oleksijek. In my opinion, absolutely his toughest fight to date, and a very important fight for both of those gentlemen to determine which one of them is going to get that UFC push going forward from here.
I like Alexis. That's
I like Oleksijek as well.
he's got a good bit of potential, I think.
I feel like he is kind of just getting his wheels started, where I feel like Barallo's got a little bit more experience than he does, but I think it could be a very, very interesting fight. 2 weeks after that, the May 13th UFC card at, surprise, surprise, location TBD, because UFC. We got an interesting pair of fights announced for this card. A pair returns, if you will, even. The first one, the return of the only two men on the UFC roster ever to have died from heroin overdose and be resuscitated. Matt Brown and Court McGee. And they're going to make them fight. Strange pairing, but they're a pair of old dogs. They're a pair of vets. Skill-wise, experience-wise, I think it makes pretty good sense. So, interesting matchup. Strange that it took us to this point to get there, but we're there. So, we'll see how that one plays out. But the bigger announcement of the pair is the main event for the May 13th card, in the form of one Johnny Walker versus Anthony Lionheart Smith. I'm interested in the Matt Brown fight. I'm curious about the Smith versus Walker fight. Not only does that have divisional potential, that's an interesting stylistic matchup, in my opinion.
I'm still not on board with fucking Johnny Walker. I have not been. And I don't know, there's something about him that just tweaks me the wrong way. It's not that he's a bad fighter, because he's not, but
right.
It's just I like to
There's
think of him
definitely
like
something about him that's odd.
I like to think of him like the court jester. Yes, he belongs there, but you don't want to see him. At least not all the time. We'll see.
Yeah. I could see that.
And to be honest, I get Lionheart, and he needs a good fight in front of him where he's got something to show. And Walker is, unfortunately, at this point now, a good name to make a good statement on.
He's kind of become a sacrificial lamb at this point.
Yeah. So hopefully the sacrifice works, and we get to see Lionheart go in there and take away the title that he helped earn.
I think with that victory, that puts him on the short list to get that shot for sure. Yeah. UFC is clearly not happy with Jan or Angolaev right now.
No.
Tired. Yuri's still technically hurt. With a real good win, Anthony Smith, I think, could jump the line.
Well, yeah, because
and make for a real fun title fight.
Otherwise, we're just gonna get, but where you at, though?
Right.
Which I'm not mad at. That shit was fucking funny.
I mean, that's what she said. That's what she said. Like,
yeah. Jamal Hill, funny motherfucker.
Yeah, you can't fault him. He's on point. So
yeah. That's
I get
what
it.
she said.
Yeah, I get it, dude. I love it. I love it. I'm fucking here for it. Either way, it shakes loose. But yeah, I think at this point, Johnny Walker is basically the sacrificial lamb, considering that Anthony Smith got the fight pulled from him. This is basically the UFC saying, we're sorry, beat the shit out of this guy, and then we'll give you a title fight. So
What I'm curious about is, does he make weight first try, and is he the first on the scale like he said he's going to be?
yeah, because if he is not, I will say this, I can understand if something happens, because he will absolutely have media obligations and he's not able to be literally the first person on the scale. I get that. I think that can be allowed to walk off. But God forbid that motherfucker shows up on his first attempt and it is 0.1 pound over. Oh, the Romans are going to get their nails and hammers.
I'm just saying he better
So,
make championship weight for this
that's
one.
what I'm saying. Like, you better show up on fucking championship fucking weight. First try you step on that goddamn scale, and don't you have a look of doubt in your fucking eye. You better show up KBD knowing. You
Look,
got it.
I mean, what was I? What the fuck was I watching? I forget. I don't want to give the guy any leash because he never gives anybody any leash for it. But they did say he came in as a last minute cover for that. Which, okay, sure. But as a consummate professional that he's dogging everybody to be already, your ass should have made weight. So
Had
if
he
he
not
comes in here
been,
and fucking screws the pooch,
yeah, had he not been on him and Bisbing's podcast the day before he left to go to Brazil, talking about how heavy he still was and how heavy he was going to be by the time he got to Brazil, like how everything as far as his weight cutting was behind and he was going to have to rush everything, but it should, I say with air quotes for those of you listening, work out just fine. And then it fucking didn't. I don't know. I think at this point you got to just shut up, show up, and be on championship weight right out of the gate, and just mums the fucking word. Like, don't need no box. Don't you dare need that box. Or
yeah,
the towel of shame, whatever they're using this time.
I don't even care if he uses the tall of shame as long as he makes championship weight. Don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But you better make championship weight. If they say 171, you take those fucking underwear off, clean in front of everybody. Fuck it. Let your
So,
dingle dangle hang right out. That'll get rid of your pound.
205, son. Anthony Smith ain't that skinny.
You know.
If you get Anthony Smith on a scale of 171, I'll stop giving him shit forever. If he can step on a scale at 171 and then walk off of his own volition, I'll never give him shit about weight ever again. I'll put it that way.
If he hits 171, I think we'd all fucking shit.
Yeah. No, he's a big boy, and it still hurts him a little bit to get down to 205. I don't think we could ever see Anthony Smith at $170.
No, if he fucking is over, fuck it, dude. You better just start packing on muscle, do the slow route, and get up to fucking 265.
Jones it up. Yeah, Jones it the fuck up for damn sure. I
Look,
agree.
it's just like a lot of fighters late in their career. They go up a weight class because the body can
Weight
no
doesn't
longer
come
handle
on
it,
quickly.
and also there are parts of your body that, unfortunately, as you age, become more dense, more weight. It's just how the fucking world works.
Yep. Yeah, weight cutting is definitely a young man's game. If you're gonna do it, you don't get to do it till you're old for fucking reasons that your body can explain to you as your doctor's resuscitating you. Yeah, no, it's gonna be real interesting to see how that one shakes loose, but at least we know that they are looking out towards the summer in terms of UFC's booking out. Excuse me. And then unfortunately, we have to end the news segment this week with a trio of not so fun news pieces. The first one, UFC newcomer Carlos Mota has officially been suspended for 2 years and subsequently released from his UFC contract after just one showing, Testing positive. I know I'm going to fuck this up, but I'm going to try it anyway. Testing positive for banned substance meldonium, which is a weight cutting metabolite, weight cutting aid and steroid metabolite, banned under in and out of competition samples. It's one of those that you're never allowed to have for any reason because you only use it to fucking cheat. Well, they found it in multiple samples tested from his one and only UFC fight. He's been suspended officially by USADA for 2 years and released completely from the UFC of his contract. So way to go, dipshit. The other one, and a little bit more serious here, former UFC current Bellator fighter Poliana Botello has had to undergo emergency surgery. She has been diagnosed with breast cancer and had to have an emergency lymph node removed while she was in Las Vegas Friday. She has been cleared from the surgery and is already back in Rio as of this week, but there are no word as of right now what her plans are going forward, whether she's going to try and push on through this, whether she's going to try and get back in it. She just said that she's going to fight cancer. There is no quitting. So obviously not the best news to hear as a fighter, but as a fighter, there also is no quitting her very clearly. So obviously wish her nothing but the fucking best, and we'll try our best to stay up to date on how her story goes in the future. Then comes the other side of things. We got word that not one, but 2 different senators now have miraculously, I can't remember if it's 4 or 5 episodes deep now, come to their senses after the Power Slap League has been airing on TBS and decided that traumatic brain injuries are not entertainment, that there is no defense, that fighting is one thing, but what Power Slap is, these congressmen cannot agree is a quote unquote fight. So they have now issued open letters to TBS with other senators and congressmen now starting to sign on, as well as an open letter to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, because they're shooting this from the Tough House in Las Vegas, meaning the Nevada State Athletic Commission had to sanction this. So they are not only openly petitioning TBS to remove this bullshit from airwaves, but they are also petitioning the Nevada State Athletic Commission to sanction it no longer as a combat sport and remove their sanction of it and force them to actually go through. And if they want it to be legitimate, bring in the legitimate people, doctors and such included, to get it legitimized. And that just, we all know, will not fucking happen. So it's nice to see that even late in the game, at least at some point, a couple of politicians have found their balls, even if metaphorically, and decided to finally be someone to say something publicly about how fucking stupid this bullshit is and how it needs to be stopped.
Thank fucking Christ. Keep it underground. It never had a place here.
There are plenty of other Nelk boys if Dana wants to give away more money. This is bullshit. No one wanted it. No one wants it. Period.
Trip over your dick award this week goes to Dana White.
Right? No shit. But that being said, that does bring me to the final piece of news for this week and every week until something is fucking done. Once again, we have gone another full week where Dana White has still had to face 0 repercussions for slapping his wife New Year's Eve down in Cabo San Lucas. I don't care how many times he says it. I and the rest of the world should refuse to accept that, and I quote, living with what happened is the punishment. Fuck that. You're accountable just like everyone else in the world. And until someone does something about it, we're going to talk about it every fucking week. It's going to get old, I promise. But we're going to talk about it every fucking week. Dana, you're an idiot and a scumbag. So that being said, though, that's what I've got for news for this particular week. Do either one of you gentlemen have anything that I might have missed that happened interestingly this last week?
The only thing I got is something that everybody could have seen already. During the presser leading up to this weekend, we got Mr. A10 Warthog giving us the green light of he still wants to have his last fight at UFC 300, which I fucking love. Be the only fighter to fight on UFC 100, 200, and 300.
We're 15 pay-per-views away, dude. It's not unrealistic. And he's got a matchup coming up that he's gonna, I'm guessing, look pretty fucking good in from what we've seen on social media.
That's like middle of next year.
Yeah, like it's
Like,
absolutely possible that
month.
Jim Miller can fight next fucking summer, dude. Even if he doesn't fight again from now, his upcoming fight, until then, it's absolutely possible, barring some freak fucking injury that the MMA gods should fucking prevent. That he should be able to be ready for a fight, regardless of how this one goes, by next summer, which is when that fucking UFC 300 will be.
Please, if he makes it to UFC 300, I know it's going to be a ridiculous fucking card, but put him on the main fucking card. He deserves that as a farewell.
I don't care what else is on it. The fact that he should be there is enough to make his fight main card worthy, period.
Yeah, that whole idea of doing a 1, 2, and 300. I just thought it was something that we should mention again because he said it before a couple 4 or 5 years ago, and he's saying it again, and he's been saying it regularly. I love where his fucking head's at. And then after that, he says he just wants to ride off into the fucking sunset.
I was gonna say, I think he really wants to retire after fighting at UFC 300, because what win, lose, or draw to have been the only fucking guy to have done 100, 200, and then 300, and then put him down in the fucking octagon and ride off into the fucking sunset. Like, that legacy is carved in stone that Dynamite can't move.
Not to mention, then I think we'll get a hell of a lot more out of his fucking social media, which would be fucking fantastic.
Right? Yeah, you think the first cookbook was crazy.
Don't forget everybody to buy chickens.
Yeah, more fucking Jim Miller content is never a bad thing in my opinion. So I absolutely am fucking here for it.
And if your local municipality says no, fuck them. Buy chickens anyways, he says.
Well, I saw a little piece of something today. Tank Davis pleaded guilty to his little hit and run charge that he had from November back in 2020. Everybody's freaking out online, like, oh, you know, he's just trying to run away from Ryan Garcia and the fight's going to be fucked and all this shit. The sentencing's not due till May 5th. They're supposed to fight in April.
I was going to say, they'll postpone anything that has to go on forward until after that match. I'm sure of it.
So the biggest reason I wanted to throw that I saw this news out there, it was the biggest news is how stupid the world continues to prove itself, especially online.
Yeah.
Because you see the fucking article or the post that says sentencing May 5th. The fight's happening in April, and every fucking comment, oh, he's running away from Ryan Garcia. He's also really goddamn rich and could probably keep himself out of prison even if he pled guilty.
Yeah,
So.
I'm pretty sure they let him plead guilty unless he had a lawyer in his ear making damn sure the deal he's going to plead guilty to is going to keep him from going to prison or doing the absolute minimum.
And I bet you when they say sentencing, he already knows his sentence. I'm guessing that was part of some sort of plea agreement, which probably tells you you're going to get probation for X number of years. You're going to pay X number of fine, and you're going to be required to do some sort of community
do some
service.
classes, make some promotions for fucking whatever drunk driving prevention shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna give him the John Jones treatment. He's not gonna get seriously fucking punished for it. He's gonna be a scapegoat, quote unquote, for those listening, for the
There was
crime.
also some bullshit out there after the Super Bowl. I guess he couldn't walk, right? He was using a wheelchair to get around the Super Bowl. And then he posts a video where he's dancing around back and forth on his ankles, showing how good his ankles are. I don't know why people are so hell bent on making shit up to try to get this good boxing match to not go through. Like, just sit back, be patient. As long as they stay healthy, it'll probably happen.
People like fuckery, that's why.
Yeah.
People need to get a life, man.
Everybody wants to get their fingers in that fucking pie because they see just how fucking big it's continuing to grow into. And too many idiots in the kitchen never works out well. So we'll see. We'll see how we get as we get a little closer to it. Did you have cans this week?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. I thought you said so, but I didn't remember, and I just realized that I didn't ask before we started. So yeah, now that we're live, that'll bring us to the point where sometimes old farts like us have brain farts live on the air, but sometimes when you've been watching combat sports as long as some of us have been, you tend to, even if you don't want to, get a little bit set in your ways, and you get used to watching what you're used to watching, how and when you're used to watching it, and inevitably that ends up resulting in you missing the forest for the trees, as it were. So luckily, in our situation here, we just so happen to have a young person still in their prime vital youth that pays attention to all the new up-and-comers, all the happenings and the murmurings and the ground levels to help keep us old farts from being completely out of touch in a little segment that we like to call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
All right, so this week I chose a few of each. Got a couple cans, got a couple contenders off this card. I know it's nothing to be too excited over. The cans were pretty easy. I want to start with this guy that's making his debut. It's hard to pronounce the name. I'm never good with the names, but Kashin Ashkabov coming in at 23-0. This is another situation like I talked about last week. Francisco Prado. He came in 11-0. All of his fights ended in a finish. You know, seemingly looking good when you just look at it on paper, but when you deep dive into the people that he's fought, is very inexperienced. It's the same with this guy. I mean, Ashkabov, he's a Russian, so if you want to take that into consideration, he's a double champ out of, you know, the last promotion that he's fought for. He's never lost. A hell of a record. 23 fights. You got to give him respect. It's not fucking easy to win 23 straight fights in MMA. But he hasn't fought very good competition. It's the same situation that we saw with Prado. He's double the wins. It's impressive. Give him the respect. Jamal Emmers, not great himself. That's for me the biggest thing. We'll maybe see this guy win, but I got him on the fence. That's why I wanted to start with Ashkabov. It's like potential contender, and this week is going to show us. So that there's some interest there. Just the 23-0, and if Jamal Emmers can put it on him like Jamie Malarkey put it on Prado, this guy's more on that can side. He's just not experienced enough to be in the UFC. Jamal Emmers isn't great, so if he goes out there and finishes him, maybe we'll have something to look at in the future. The other cans I've got Juan Camilo Ronderos. He already had his debut in the UFC, lost to David Dvorak. Going against Clayton Carpenter here. I like Carpenter. He's a good young kid, got a good finishing ability. I kind of feel like he goes out there and puts Ronderos out. So I just got Ronderos in the can. I don't see how there's any way he can beat Clayton Carpenter. It's just not very good. You get into the UFC, lose your debut, and They put you against another young guy and it just looks scary for him. You also got Jamal Emmers. He's going against Ashkabov. I put him in the can category. He's just 18-6. He's always been kind of what you would consider a journeyman if you want to be nice. But, we like to be real, so kind of a can. He's just not very talented. He's 1-2 in the UFC. He's lost to tough guys, and Pat Sabatini and Giga Chikadze, if you want to say that. But we'll see. We'll see. I threw him in the can category. And then obviously two other guys making their debuts. Jamal Pogues, Mr. Jab him up. We'll see if he learned how to throw an uppercut, a left hook, maybe a fucking leg kick. I know he's a heavyweight, but, can you learn how to level change and shoot for a takedown? Show me anything other than the damn left jab.
Honestly, I don't even need him to be super well rounded. Just don't make me fucking scream at your whole fight.
Throw a combination in the damn fight. Throw more than a damn jab. Throw me a hook. Throw an uppercut. Just give me something else. He doesn't even have to win. I just want to see something that proves to me he's grown over the past handful of months since the Contender Series. I think he's learned something. I still don't believe he's a very good fighter, but he's young, 27 in the heavyweight division. He's got the potential if his dumb ass can show us that he can learn, right? So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, I got Zach Pauga in there too. 5-1. He's 34 years old. Only 6 fights in the professionals. Only 1 finish, and he fought at heavyweight. He's moving down to heavyweight. You're making his light heavyweight. Moving down to light heavyweight. Yeah. I don't know. Jordan Wright's that get or get got kind of guy. Jordan Wright, you could put in there as a can too. But all of his losses have been in the UFC. All 12 of his wins are by finish. I think Zach Pauga gets knocked out again. He got knocked out by Muhammad Usman. That was a fucked up kind of punch that did it. Potential weak chin problems, and he doesn't have good finishing ability. So light heavyweight's not a division to fuck with. You still have to have good ability to hang with the guys up there. So, I don't know how that's going to go from contenders. I know where I'm going to finish this one. So I'll just start. I mentioned him a minute ago. Clayton Carpenter. I'm really excited about this kid. I feel like he is going to really impress. Obviously had a great showing on the Contender Series. Has done well so far. 4 finishes out of his 6 wins. Making his debut. And like I said, the guy's going against Ronderos, putting him in the can category. So I think Carpenter goes out and gets a pretty quick finish. AJ Fletcher, I want to put him in here just because of the age. It's more of that on the fence thing. And he's not fighting somebody that I'd consider good. I would say Garimba is, that can category. But I want to see something out of AJ. He's 25 years old. I'm hoping he can turn it around, right? This is more me giving some hopeful optimism and being nice, is saying he is very youthful and has the chance to be a contender. Only 9-2, and his only 2 losses are in the UFC, and 8 finishes the 9 wins. So I'm still holding on this last sliver of hope. This, for me personally, last chance. I know you guys probably didn't have hope from the start. So AJ Fletcher. I know he also works with Dustin Poirier. We love Dustin. Dustin's a legend. Doesn't mean that AJ Fletcher is in the same category, but we're just hopeful here.
I feel like a lot of AJ Fletcher's shine has come from his association with Dustin Poirier, more so than his ability has been shown.
But the finishing potential is there. It's just like I said, he's lost his first 2 UFC fights.
That's what I was going to say. Potential is all well and good, but if you come in with more hype, and at least from what I and a lot of people have noticed, more hype off of the association that he has with Poirier than from his finishing or his training ability or some of his early fights or anything like that. And then, like you said, your first 2 fights in the UFC, you trip over your own dick and fucking end up losing. Like, potential ship starts to sail a little further from shore.
Yeah, if he goes
harder to walk out to.
Finish and picks up his first win this week, and that's why I put him on the fence kind of spot.
I can see
on
that.
the fence of contender still, just because of that youth and shit and the finishing potential. If he goes
And
out
he
and gets
needs
first round finish
yeah.
against a guy he should beat, making
Right.
his debut and is a very back and forth can. If you look at Garimba's record, he's fought Fury FC, the UAE Warriors, but he's been very back and forth. It should be an easy fight for Fletcher. They're literally handing him one. If he goes out there and gets it, there's some hopeful optimism for him. Ashkabov's on the fence as well. We'll see what this 23-0 guy can do, like I said. And Nazim Sadikov, 7-1 guy. He's going against Evan Elder. I'd like to put Elder in the contender spot too, just because he's a local guy. He fought for FAC a lot and Shamrock a lot. They're both 7-1, but I think Elder's getting smoked in this one. Just Sadikov has great finishing potential. He's got some good power, and then he works with some badass dudes like Sarah Longo, badass guys to have as coaches, working with Marab. A lot of people don't like Aljamain Sterling, but he's got, some good grappling ability and shit. So, Sadikov training with those guys is good on the ground. And we've seen that he's a good striker. So I'm excited to see Sadikov making his UFC debut. Even though Elder's that kind of local guy, it's going to be sucky to see him lose. Had to put Sadikov in there. Elder's just, sad.
Yeah,
Sad.
Joe be damned. Sarah Longo's gym is known for producing some fucking badasses, Aljo aside. Like
Yeah, and he
Marab,
looked good on the
an
contender
example of
series.
what that gym can fucking turn you into. So
And then now obviously I have to finish this off. Can't do a contenders part of my segment without talking about Erin Blanchfield when she's the best contender on this card this weekend. Only 23 fucking years old, only one loss in her career to Tracy Cortez as well. She only has one loss in her career and is a potential prospect. Many of us are eyeballing. It's just we all think Erin Blanchfield is better, regardless of that loss. I feel like if they both fought each other nowadays, Blanchfield would definitely get it back. Going into it, I thought the Talia Santos fight was good for her, put her in good position. She beat Santos. She's right in line for the title after Valentina gets through Alexa Grasso. But I thought it was going to be more of a boring technical kind of fight. Like Blanchfield would be tested, but would probably win fairly easy still. This is interesting to me. Like Santos getting hurt, having to pull out now 9 days notice, you get Jessica Andrade. So Blanchfield doesn't have that time to prepare for a crazy veteran with crazy finishing potential in Jessica Andrade. She got the jiu-jitsu and she's got the striking. Well, I think Talia Santos, her main game is just the striking aspect, and she would have needed to keep the fight standing against Blanchfield to win. And Blanchfield's game is taking you down and just fucking you on the ground. We saw her do it to Molly McCann.
yeah.
This is going to be insane. To see Blanchfield beat Jessica Andrade, I feel like that just puts her over even more. If she was already next in line for the title, I heard Jed Meshew saying this earlier this week. I don't agree with a lot of shit he says, but I agreed with this. Blanchfield should get put over Alexa Grasso if she goes out there and finishes Jessica Andrade this weekend. Just say fuck it. Just cancel the contract. I know it's in a couple of weeks. If she takes no damage, fucks up Jessica Andrade, just slide her in. Or just like tell Valentina, can we push it back a couple months? Just scrap the fight, redo it any way you can. Just put Blanchfield in it. And I'm not even that high on Blanchfield. I've only gotten to see her fight a few times.
we've seen that situation done in reverse for Jorge Masvidal when he got his title shot. Well, he got his second title shot, I should say. He was already booked for a fight, and then they needed a title fight, so they unbooked him from his fight and then just threw him into a title shot. They can flip that same fucking situation around for Erin Blanchfield and Alexa Grasso for damn sure if something happens. But yeah, no, we'll definitely be talking about that one a little bit more.
But that's just how I feel. Like, even if I'm not as big on Blanchfield, I know she has so much more of a fan base behind her. There's a lot of people that are high on her, similar to Bo Nickel and shit. There's just a lot more people would be willing to watch that fight between Valentina if she was the one there compared to Alexa Grasso. I think all of us, I like Alexa Grasso, but I don't think she's ready. I think all of us would agree Valentina's going to run through her. It's not going to be a problem by any stretch of the imagination. But Blanchfield might make shit tougher, even though I think Blanchfield could use some more time too. She's really damn young. But that would be more interesting. I'd want to see it a lot more. That is, I just wanted to finish off with Blanchfield. We got to give her flowers as a contender because just the potential of what can happen for her after this weekend if she wins the fight. I feel like she's got great potential. She goes out there and has a 5-round war and loses to Andrade. As long as she doesn't get masterclassed like Lauren Murphy or finished in the first round, somehow like embarrassed, showing she's nowhere near that level yet, then her stock's not going to drop much at all. She's still going to fucking really have a good chance to just easily climb up and put herself in that spot. Because of the short notice as well. If Jessica, like, if she goes out there, has a 5-round war with Andrade on 9 days' notice, and you just lose the decision, that's pretty much almost a win in most of our eyes. I think, most of us hardcore fans will count it as slight win for Blanchfield, the short notice, and you last 5 fucking rounds, 25 minutes with Jessica Andrade. And you're not like beat up like Lauren Murphy. Like, she shows that she's got some defense and shit. If she can't work her game and dominate it, but she can still survive well, I'm just interested. I'm curious about the shit. I'm interested in the fight. It's the only fight on this fucking card I'm interested in. So, had to finish off the fucking segment this week with Erin Blanchfield because she's off to the fucking moon if she beats Jessica Andrade this weekend.
Yeah,
literal definition of a contender.
Absolutely. You get no complaints from me on that one. I'm wholeheartedly. I'm one of those folks that's very fucking high on Erin Blanchfield, and I think aside from potentially the Bullet herself, Blanchfield is possibly one of the most dangerous ladies in that entire division, and quite possibly the future of that division, depending on how much longer Valentina decides she wants to keep doing this. But we'll definitely get into that a little bit more in a little bit, though. Thank you very much for your time. Always appreciated there, sir. That, however, will bring us into the only other segment of the show that requires its own individual disclaimer. So, Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology.com does offer you a service in the ability to make a free account and then pick your choice of how fights will end round-wise, style-wise, KO, knockout, submission, or decision. And then you can compete head-to-head with folks around the world, including us here on the show. We have our very own open-to-the-public group on Tapology.com called ImNoBookie, all one word, or Group 965, however you need to search for it. You are all more than welcome to join the group. We go over, OBS disconnected. Did we freak out? OBS reconnected. Maybe we didn't freak out. That sucks. Doesn't seem too bad. Anyways, that'll bring us to a segment that hopefully still makes it to the air that we like to call Tapology with TJ.
All right. We're going to jump right into the pure fucking craziness of last week's card, which would have been, the last week's pick'em. I'm not going to talk about the whole fucking card, but last week pick'em for Makhachev, Volkanovski, pound for pound number 1 and number 2, which, by the way, we forgot to mention in the fucking news segment, so I'm going to do it right now. Guess who's still the number 1 pound for pound? Volkanovski. They did not give fucking Makhachev the number 1, and I fucking love it because he did not earn that. But you know what? The fight could have gone either way as far as the judges are concerned. Going back and watching it, I get that, but definitely not earned to be pound for pound number 1 when the guy who's smaller comes up to and damn near whips your fucking ass.
Right.
If he'd have had one more round, that would have been all she fucking wrote. But anyway, on to the craziness that was our picks last week. So I have to mention this specifically. I don't generally want to go through the whole of what happened, but last week was specifically fucking crazy. So myself and the meter, we're getting our asses stomped in at the beginning of the night.
Thoroughly.
Until Mr. One, I think it was Tafa, came out and fucking KO first round. Both of us picked first round KO, got the 100 points, threw us to the top of the fucking leaderboard, 1 and 2 respectively. Fucking crazy. Kind of stayed that way until right at the fucking end. We get the old neighbor talking shit to Don last week. I shouldn't have done it. He comes in, swoops in, gets the W right at the end. The fucker picked
the finish line, man.
Got us. Fucking as he's going by, guaranteed he's yelling, got him.
Like it was that old Acme cartoon where the fucking Wile E. Coyote is at the finish line with his arms out, and then when you look at the actual snap photo finish, the Roadrunner is just there, a BK head going, me.
Yep. He fucking got everybody right at the end. Class act. Congrats for getting the trip out of your dick shit out of your system and getting back to that number 1 spot. Well done, Don. Now, I said it last week. I didn't want to say it today. But we have a back-to-back. You'll see the little GIF run across your screen here. Trip over your dick award. That back-to-back goes to Vinny. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to change out the GIF, so you get trip over your dick number 2 instead of the trip over your vagina for having it back-to-back weeks. But
double a GIF.
you get it doubled. So in this case, everybody who's watching, listening, you can always come and join us over on Tapology. You just sign up and join the ImNoBookie group. And you too can get in this fun. We can talk shit about you too on the air. So, please, by all means, come join the group. Ton of fun. And we don't just pick the UFC cards. There are other cards that get picked as well in there. And you can pick whatever cards you want. The whole site is open to you. But, if you want to come in and run with us, the ones we talk about on here are just going to be the UFC cards. Unless for some odd crazy reason, something wild happens that needs to be spoken about. But and that we're going to move on from there, and we're going to talk about this week with the shall we say, I'll just call it the card. I'm not going to call it a good card because it's not necessarily a good card. But just like the past similar weeks, a lot of coin flips going across the board. Crazily enough, AndradeVsBlanchfield, Jessica Andrade, they had pretty close to a coin flip. Got Andrade is minus 135 to minus 140, depending on where you're looking, and Blanchfield at a solid plus 115, pretty much everywhere you look. So basically a coin flip. And going down the card, the Jordan Wright, Zach Poga fight, and then Jamal Pogues and Josh Parisian, pretty similar in the 200s and minus and pluses there. So there is some money to be made there. William Knight, Marcin Preciado, another one of those fucking, or Parchino, Jesus fuck, words, can't talk. But it's another one of those coin flips. I think the one that pisses me off the most, Jim Miller and Alex Hernandez. Everywhere you look, they have Alex Hernandez as the favorite, which last I checked, he's been an absolute shit show lately. And Jim Miller has been on a pretty good fucking tear.
To the division. Yeah, this is him coming back to the division after fucking up trying to go to featherweight.
Yeah. So just saying that's a big fucking that's a big fuck you to Jim Miller. And I'm not a fan. If I'm a betting man, taking Jim Miller. They've got him pretty much everywhere you look as a plus 190 underdog. And they've got Hernandez as a minus 225 to minus 250 favorite right now. Good money is Jim Miller right there. I'm just saying, you don't have to spend 225 to 250 to get 100. And then moving on down the widest gap on the card, I'm going to mention it now. Lena Landsberg and Mayra Brena Silva or Silva, excuse me, Silva, Jesus fuck. They've got Lena Landsberg as a plus 400 underdog and a minus 500 for Mayra Buena Silva as the favorite. It's a pretty wide margin, and I don't think it's that wide because, to be honest, both of them are kind of fucking cans.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I guess it's hard to, when you're looking in a dented can bid, to tell which one's dented more. So who knows? Maybe I'm fucking wrong. But that's a good one. Bet some money on Lena Landsberg just because I don't think those fucking odds are right. And she's probably got a better chance of winning than what they think. But then rest of the card going down, plus 135, minus 155, and Jamal Emmers and saying, and the only other one that is worth talking about would be when Christian came out and said is on his contenders list here. Clayton Carpenter and Juan Camilo fucking can't read tonight or say names, so I'm not even gonna fucking try. But they've got Clayton sitting at a minus 305 favorite to minus 310, depending on where you're looking. And then they got Juan coming in there at a plus 225 to plus 250, depending on where you're looking. So well, Christian, doing some good research, knowing who the contenders possibly are there. Well done, sir. Tip of the cap. Yeah, those are your odds looking out for this week there. So now if you want to use a little bit of odds, you can go ahead and check some odds out and then come make your picks with us and see if you trip over your dick or not. Because those odds don't mean shit, unfortunately. I mean, the only thing you can do is tell you whether you're going to make money on a fight or not. But remember, if you're a fighter or an employee of the UFC, it is now illegal for you to make any bets. Do not bet if you're employed in any way, shape, or form with the UFC.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciated. Now, normally at this point in the show, this would be the time where you would see, for those of you in the audio only version of this, I apologize, you're going to miss out on this. But those of you who are watching on YouTube will see this terrifying GIF roll across the screen. Well, tonight it's just for conversational sake. It is not actually an indication, because normally this is the point where we would make things get a little bit competitive and we would bring out the pit. However, I can't in good conscience make anyone defend a viable win-loss ranking on the basis of what the UFC is affectionately calling a card this weekend. And I can't in good conscience recommend anyone pay to watch what BKFC is calling KnuckleMania 3 this weekend. I am curious, however, what you gentlemen think. We'll run them down the normal way here. If there is one good fight amongst all the shitstorm of combat sports that are taking place this weekend, what would you say is the one redeeming fight of the weekend? You're muted.
I'm over here and fucking muted and still talking. Dumb fuck. Don't mind me. I'm just saying, so what I was saying is, as much as I hate to say it, that is kind of a fucking it's kind of a tough fucking one to say which one I think is the most redeeming. To be honest, I think if there's anything that I want to tune in for, it's gonna be one fight and one fight only. And it would be tomorrow night. I want to watch John Dodson and fucking Grant go clean at it, because the way Dodson came out in his first fight in PKFC, who can we say? I think there's more fireworks afoot. That dude has some. I honestly will. I'll say, with my personal opinion, from what I've seen out of BKFC, he has the fastest fucking hands in BKFC, bar none.
It's pretty close. If not the fastest, he is one of the fastest without a fucking doubt. Yeah.
The way
And
he
Grant, to his credit, Grant can hit, but his chin is suspect as fuck. And he's not really much of a defenseman. He's very much another one of those kind of John Dodson-esque, like, put the pedal to the floor and aim for the other guy. Like, we're riding this bitch till the wheels fall off kind of dude.
and that's the one thing Dodson's got going for him. Even when he was in the UFC, he was pretty good at not getting hit while going full bore at somebody.
Yeah, he can.
I'm not saying he couldn't get hit, but
shots.
He was pretty good at it. And knowing he doesn't have to worry about takedowns anymore, fuck.
Right. Yeah,
Just saying that I think that's a redeeming fucking fight for the weekend. If it's me, and don't get me wrong, there's a couple other fights that are worth watching. Of course, Jim Miller, because who doesn't fucking love the Warthog? But you know, nothing like A10. I mean, everybody says A10. I call him the Warthog because you know, those are in the know are in the know.
Right.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I kind of have to agree with that. If Jim Miller beats the shit out of Alex Hernandez, gets another finish, he's won his past 3 fights, I'm going to be pretty excited about that.
Fuck yeah.
Obviously, slightly excited for the main event just because of Jessica Andrade. It made it more exciting. If Blanchfield wins, it'll be, you know, pretty damn exciting. But I'm the most excited, probably just, I love Kevin Kroom. So Kevin Kroom on BKFC doesn't make me want to pay the money to watch the card as a whole. But, you know, you do have those couple other pieces like TJ said as well, John Dodson on there. There's some guys to be interested in. It's the same with the UFC. There's just names, there's exciting names more than there is a full fight. But I'd be the most excited to watch Kevin Kroom fight outside of the main event of the UFC.
Kroom has looked pretty goddamn good over in VKFC as well too. So yeah, he's got a fun matchup on his hands for damn sure. I've kind of got one of each here. I've got one that everybody's gonna want to watch, and then I've got one that everybody should watch. The one that everybody's gonna want to watch is gonna be Jamie Hinshaw versus Carissa Segala. If you thought BKFC was good at putting on Battle of the OnlyFans before, holy shit. This battle is going to look very appetizing. It's not going to be very, it's going to look very appetizing. But the one that everyone actually should be watching, though, in my opinion here, is, ironically enough, Lena Landsberg versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Lena Landsberg is not called the Queen of Elbows for no fucking reason. Like, Lena's still a bad motherfucker, and Mayra Bueno, for better or worse, is essentially a female silverback gorilla. She does not have technique. She does not have grace or style. She has and fucking raw strength, and that's all there is to it. Stylistically, that makes for fun fucking fights more often than it doesn't. And Lena Landsberg is both intelligent enough to potentially be able to work around that, but also road mild enough to potentially not be able to get out of the way of that, which makes it interesting in a whole different kind of fucking way. But either way, I think the ladies are actually showing off all weekend this weekend. I think the ladies' fights are actually some of the better ones that are getting put on overall for the weekend.
Oh, if you want to look at titties, yeah, go straight to BKFC for that one.
Yeah, I'm glad you just sold me on that Landsberg fight because I thought that was complete shit.
No,
I still think it will be, but you know, if it turns out the way you were talking, I'll be impressed.
It's kind of it's a ladies bantamweight version of a men's heavyweight fight. Like, there's potential for it to be crazy, and there is equal potential for it to be a ladies' walrus slap fight. There's no fucking telling whatsoever. One way or another, It's gonna be interesting now. So that being said, we're gonna skip the next question because the vast majority of this weekend is the fight that you can use to refresh your drink and get your dab and go crank one out and flip the shrimps on the Barbie and take a fat shit and not worry about missing anything really exciting either way you go. So that brings me back to co-main events. I actually want to talk about UFC fighters, but not for the UFC co-main event because I don't think Jordan Wright versus Zach Quagga is going to be worth the time it takes to mention how I think the fight's going to end. I'm 100% curious, though, what you guys think is going to play out in Diego Sanchez making his bare-knuckle debut against a genuine ex-WBC boxer in Austin Trout.
Well, if you're a fan of Diego Sanchez, I think you're going to be sad. Luckily, I am not a fan of Diego Sanchez, so I am going to be happy as shit. That motherfucker's going to get knocked the fuck out. And it's going to be a brutal motherfucking knockout because it's bare knuckles. He's going to get fucked up. I think Sanchez is a dumbass. He should have just taken his fucking lumps a long time ago and just retired. Just enjoyed the rest of his fucking life instead of adding on some more brain damage. But it is what it is. But yeah, I don't see it going any other way. Diego Sanchez is going to get his ass beat.
You know, it's not that I love Diego Sanchez because I don't. But there was a time when he legitimately was the nightmare for a reason.
Once upon a time, yeah.
You know, you said it right. Once upon a time. It's like a storybook.
It's like a story.
I feel kind of like we're telling, like he's let's put it this way. He's like a fairy tale at this point. He's like Lord of the Rings. We know it's not true, but we loved it then. But it just would not come to fruition in this current day and age with fucking weapons of mass destruction. That is Diego Sanchez. He just doesn't fit. It's kind of like the Kevin Lee thing, except for in a different light. Where does Diego Sanchez fit into all of this? It doesn't. I don't understand why they signed him, knowing that he's a knockout liability, and maybe that's why they did sign him, other than the name. Because they do like knockouts over there, and I can't blame them. Everybody likes a good knockout, but the dude's already brain damaged. Like, you could see it progressively getting worse his last, like, 3 or 4 fights in the UFC. Or in probably even more.
Their weigh-in face-offs this afternoon didn't do Diego any favors.
No.
At all. Like, BKFC face-offs are generally a very, very shitty clown show. Diego had the fucking star spotlight put right on him this afternoon. It wasn't good. He doesn't look good.
Dude, I just fucking hate to say it, dude. You're old and busted. Old and fucking busted. Next thing you know, they're gonna have a guy standing right outside of the fucking BKFC circle, and he's gonna step in there as soon as Diego gets knocked out and go, "Boy, you just got knocked the fuck out." Turn around and walk out, because that's all it's gonna be. I mean, I'm glad he's getting paid to get slept, but you could have also just went and paid money and got yourself a fucking Sealy Posturepedic and got much better rest. That's all I'm saying.
The way that I look at it, I have very little doubt that he couldn't. I'm not going to guarantee they could have matched it, but I'd be willing to bet the flow grappling would have come pretty fucking close to whatever BKFC is giving Diego, and let him get in there and do what he's actually good at with minimal risk for more brain damage, and he would have potentially still kept benefiting to his legacy than the money that he's going to make from potentially getting knocked the fuck out and absolutely incurring more brain damage this weekend through BKFC. Like nobody would have been mad if we heard that Diego Sanchez signs a 3 grappling match deal for super fights with Flow Grappling. But as soon as word got out that Diego signed a multi-fight deal, period, without disclosing how many, just multi-fight, period, bare-knuckle boxing contract, every serious combat sports fan immediately went, oh no. Well, now it comes to fruition, and it's going to happen this weekend, unfortunately. That being said, though, that will bring us to our main events, plural, because I do want to talk about both of them. On one hand, I will say, we say it all the time, I'm going to say it again now, credit where credit is due. Props to the UFC for making the AndradeVsBlanchfield main event. And then even when the Tyler Santos match fell out, keeping Blanchfield versus Andrade as the main event when they've got plenty of other names they could have pulled from that card that realistically probably would have had just as much pop on the marquee. But they kept AndradeVsBlanchfield there because they put her there and she's staying there. So credit to the UFC for that one. Now, on that same token, credit to AndradeVsBlanchfield because Jessica Andrade on 9 days notice is nothing to sneer at. Like, there is genuinely, in my opinion, more danger in Andrade on a week and change notice than there ever was in Santos on a full fucking camp with full advance notice. Like, Andrade with a full camp, maybe not quite as dangerous when you've got the time to prepare and get ready for it. But Andrade on a week's fucking notice when you've been training for a month and a half for Tyler Santos is a very different ball game. So I absolutely also want to make a point to say props to fucking AndradeVsBlanchfield for accepting this fight on short notice, because it's not just a matter of Andrade gets plugged in. Blanchfield still had to accept this as well. So props to Aaron for taking Andrade on 9 days notice, which is a tall order from anybody. But I'm curious what you guys think best case scenario is from Andrade versus Blanchfield. What is the best outcome from this fight?
Oh, I feel like that's easy. Like this week alone, like I said, I didn't know Blanchfield as much as you guys. Wasn't on her as much. I only seen her fight a couple times. Getting to see like the media day this week, that was nice. Like she is pretty fucking hot. So there's that. That's always an upside. But I mean, just actually getting to see her talking to media, answering some questions, getting to know about her a little bit more. That was nice to finally see that. So I think the main event is a good spot just in itself. But the best case scenario is if she fucking goes out there and finishes Jessica Andrade. Because it puts her, like I said, in a situation where the UFC legitimately might think about, oh shit, we fucked it. Scrap this. No, Alexa Grasso not on the same level as AndradeVsBlanchfield. Holy shit, we fucked up. Let's not wait 6 months to next year potentially when Valentina's ready to fight again. Let's just no, fuck this. Let's get the right fight. Not that they want Valentina to lose, but you always say it. The best fight the best. We're here to make the best matchups. The fans want that same shit, and they always want us to pay money for things, and that's on a fucking pay per view. So we may not pay for it, but a lot of people will, and right. it would entice more people to shell out some money if there was a more interesting fight. And a lot of people are high on Blanchfield, so And I feel like this week is already like I said, it's helping me build more of an appreciation for her as a person because didn't know much about her. So getting to learn about her a little bit on media day and shit like that this week is just that's what you're supposed to do, right? The UFC could do better with that, especially they like to go to the Apex and shit, so you're not having a crowd for your fighters. Give more media, allow them to have a bunch of fucking press conferences, do stuff like you do, the embedded shit. They do that for the pay-per-views. Just do more show behind the scenes, like some training, allow fans to get to know build the stars. Do what you're supposed to do. Promote the fights, build the stars. The UFC is how it is. But that's best case scenario. Like Erin Blanchfield's going to build her own star by just being a hell of a prospect and finishing a hell of a veteran and Jessica Andrade. It'll fucking blow me away, that's for sure. If she does anything like what she did to Molly McCann, Andrade, I'm shitting my pants. Not to say she can't. It's going to surprise the fuck out of me. I will shit my pants. That's the kind of moment we want as MMA fans. The what the fuck, holy fuck, shit, oh my God. Yeah.
I agree. What do you think, TJ?
Yeah, I'm along those same lines. I think the best possible outcome here, because in my opinion, is Jessica Andrade's time has come and gone. And I'm not saying she's not still a viable candidate to continue fighting, because she is definitely still available to be fighting and still has that fire. But we've also seen her get to the pinnacle once, albeit for a very, very short time, and realize she is not the top dog in that division anymore. She got lucky where shit fell, and even a sun shines on a dog's ass every once in a while. That's how that fucking worked. That's how she ended up with the title. Now, on the back side of that, I see her right now as a gatekeeper to the next title challenger. I think she's going to hover around in that top 5 for a while. Perfectly all right, acceptable, down with that. I think best outcome here is we see a new star born in Erin Blanchfield come in and show, hey, yeah, Jessica Andrade can be beat by these new up-and-comers. And if she, don't get me wrong, this is a huge step up in competition from fucking Meatball. From going from Meatball Molly McCann to fucking Erin Blanchfield, or to fucking Jessica Andrade, Erin Blanchfield's got her fucking hands full. Anybody who says anything other than that is a fucking liar. But it is definitely that time where I'd say Blanchfield's gonna have to show what she's truly made of. But in my opinion, best outcome is Blanchfield beats her. Just that way we get some more new blood at the top of the division. Because to be honest, we've seen a lot of the same old in women's flyweight for quite some time. It's time for that little injection of that good new blood in there.
I think it's a 50-50. I think on one hand, if Blanchfield shows to be as good as a lot of us think she is or can be, then this is going to be a good fight one way or another, and she's not really going to lose a whole lot of stock. I think if she manages to do the almost unthinkable and stop Andrade, I don't really care how or when it happens during the fight. I think if she can stop Andrade on a week and change notice, I think that's enough to maybe not get her to replace Grasso, but to basically guarantee her the next shot at the winner, I say with air quotes for those of you listening, of Grasso versus Valentina, because technically speaking, anything is fucking possible, and I wouldn't put that juju on that fucking fight, so anything can happen. But I think if Blanchfield comes out and does what a lot of us think she's capable of, it's going to look fucking spectacular for her. But I think as our commenter here very validly mentioned, the other possibility is that Andrade steps up, considering she spends the majority of her time north of featherweight walking around, manages to make the fucking weight limit and then comes in and just unloads a hurricane on Blanchfield. And then the division is basically stuck exactly where it is right now, because Andrade has already said, even though she'll fight at 25, her interest remains at 35. So even if she does come in and stops Blanchfield here, it doesn't mean a whole lot for the division. It just absolutely means that Blanchfield gets pushed back another fight or two that she's going to have to win and look great in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that fight plays out. Now, like I said, there's only like one other fight on the card I really care to watch, but you know,
Right.
I'm gonna still watch it all. I'm not gonna lie, but you know, that one has the most meaningful impact of every fight on the fucking card, I think, as far as what it can do to the division and rearranging things. So it'll be interesting to see how Blanchfield holds her on against a long-time top contender. That's the best way to put it.
I agree. So, that being said, in the interest of typical round 5 wild card esque questionnaires here, I do want to say for our closing question, stepping away from the UFC marquee in this situation, clown show embodiment as it's going to be, I am genuinely curious what you gentlemen think when we talk about the name at the top of the poster for KnuckleMania 3 taking place in Albuquerque tomorrow evening. Lorenzo Hunt versus Mike the Marine Richmond for the 185-pound strap.
It's crazy that they're letting Richmond go up to 185 for this. I'll say it. I'll say it out loud. Miro, he's not a bad fighter. Not everybody likes him. He's definitely a fucking Marine. I'll say that. I'm from Army. You can tell the dude's he's a fucking Marine. And I can't say former Marine because with them, once a Marine, always a Marine. But he's definitely a fucking Marine. The way he carries himself, the way he talks, the way he projects himself. But yeah, definitely. I don't see Richmond coming out of this one. I think Hunt is just gonna fucking decimate the shit out of him. That 10 pounds is a big fucking difference going from 175 to 185, especially when you're talking bare knuckle. So,
Right.
It'll be interesting to see it how that plays out, but I don't think Richmond's gonna have as crazy of a mustache by the time that's all said and done. I'm thinking it's gonna get knocked off his face or at least turned sideways, look like one of those fucking cartoons where it's just spinning around in circles because he chewed on the wrong end of the fucking explosive cigar. You know?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Golf D there. I feel like, you know, the fucking moving up a bit is difficult in any form of combat sports, but especially when you got the bare knuckles, it's a tall task. But I will give it. It's one of the more interesting fights, in the fact that it feels like a decent fight compared to more of a circus. You know, where you also got John Dotson. I'm excited about Kevin Kroom, but then you got the Diego Sanchez situation. That's circus. You got one of the guys we don't fucking talk about, you know, Jackass McGee. Hopefully gets knocked the fuck out. Another circus act. It just so yeah, maybe it legitimizes a little bit if Richmond can do well, just if it's a really good fight. But bare knuckle can be entertaining, but it all feels circusy.
I will say bare knuckle doing this KnuckleMania 3 thing is doing something that I don't know we have seen done anywhere else before in combat sports. It needs, at least not at the same time actively. The card is being opened by the Perez brothers from New Mexico, and on that same card are the Dodson brothers from New Mexico. One of them, his older brother Eric, facing one of the Perez brothers, and then Dodson coming in later on once the card gets onto the main card side of things. So the brothers and brothers on either side of the card here, one of them matching up, makes it a pretty cool factor there for me. There's definitely some bullshit clown typical fuckery in BKFC fashion. Bridges versus Kroom has potential to be really fucking fun. There's going to be fun to watch fights on that card, but in terms of the main event itself, it's a little bit column A, column B for me. On one hand, I agree. Richmond going up from 70 to 85, 75 to 85. It's tough. We literally just saw last weekend in the UFC, going up just one weight class, just that 10-pound difference really does make more of a difference than a lot of people assume. On the other hand, Hunt doesn't generally fight at 85. Hunt likes to fight at 205 because he's a big boy, and even that 205 cut is hard for him. So the fact that he's got to cut even further down to get to 85 means he will be A, more depleted, and B, more susceptible to knockout under that harder weight cut strain. Whereas Richmond might be a little bit slower because he's not traditionally used to that extra 10 pounds that he's carrying, but he's also going to have 10 pounds more worth of water in his skull to help prevent knockout, and 10 pounds more worth of power for him to clock that fucking clown in the mouth, which, dear God, I think everyone watching is going to be fucking hoping for.
To be honest, the whole card that they put out, minus a few fights on it, is a fucking circus act.
Yeah, absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
kind?
I want to make that clear. I'm not trying to sanction or justify this fucking BKFC card because it absolutely is a fucking clown show. It is a full-on goddamn circus. That's why I said I will not encourage people to pay for this. But there's interesting shit if you're gonna watch. There is interesting shit to watch.
Yeah, like I said, there's a redeeming quality in just watching John Dodson get in there again for his second fight in KFC.
Absolutely.
But
well, with his brother by his side again, like they did last time too. So yeah, fucking A. In New Mexico, double fucking A.
just saying there's some redeeming qualities to the card, but as a whole, I wouldn't suggest anybody going out of their way to buy it. But I mean, if you're that hard up for some sort of punchy kicky action, and then you've got that tomorrow night. They did do weigh-ins, and as far as I'm aware of, nobody missed weight over there for this. So
no, I think everybody did show up on point.
Yeah, something. At least it gives us something to do, and God knows, watching a guy drop from 205 to 185, that's a huge drop. But that fucking main event is such a circus. Why did you bring a guy? Why is there even a fucking catchweight fight between them? There's no fucking reason for it. And I'm saying catchweight because one's going up, the other's coming down. So it's a fucking catchweight.
Yeah, it essentially is. But that being said, there are technically fights this weekend. You've got this BKFC nonsense tomorrow night. You've got the UFC card at a semi-reasonably normal time on Saturday. We're not talking Australia time. We're not talking South Korea time. We're back to somewhat reasonable American time again on Saturday. So you do have punchy, kicky options to look forward to this weekend. Make sure you get your picks. If you're coming into Tapology, make sure your picks are locked in. I think it's an hour before the start time of the event is when Tapology locks their picks. So get those tuned in. Make sure you are locked in and in the group ready to roll before that happens. You might see him here on the channel if we get a broadcast. You never know. Sometimes that happens. That being said, that is all we have got fight-wise here. So I do want to thank everybody, whether you're tuning in live here on youtube.com/ImNoJoe live Thursday nights, 9:30-ish Central Time, or you're catching this in the all-audio format a week later on anchor.fm/ImNoJoe through your podcast consumption platform of choice. We do ask, if you like what we get up to around here, please make sure you are subscribed and your notifications are turned on wherever you are consuming this. Give us a thumbs up. We appreciate it. Leave a comment. We enjoy interacting. If you would like to help around here, first and foremost, watch some videos. That does the best. Tell your friends. That helps a lot as well. You want to take it a step further? Patreon.com/ImNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month, it gives you a little bit of thank you here at the end of every single broadcast on this channel, as well as behind the scenes access to unaired and literally unairable content, things we legally had to put behind a paywall. You get it for $1. So helps us do what we do around here, gives you access to fun and neat things, and makes the world a little better place. That being said, on the other side of things, if you don't enjoy what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give us a thumbs down and then go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, this is not the end. It might seem like it, but it's not the end. This is just the end of the podcast, because once we wrap up Thursday night, Friday morning, tomorrow, and pretty much every Friday morning, you can flip over to Spreaker.com/SlowBaconContemplate to catch our buddy Vinny the Booty Hog and Slowbake Christian himself there doing their own podcast Friday mornings. Instagram.com/the#SpoiledBrothers and Instagrams.com/SlowBake420. I believe they're both down in the description as well. Don't forget to go check out those guys and all the cool shit that they do as well.
Appreciate it, brother. And then, of course, once we get on in the next fucking week, every Wednesday, make sure you tune in the brother Golf Tees channel, Golf Tee Vapes, on fucking YouTube, same fucking time, every Thursday night. It's just a day beforehand, 9:30 Central Time. Make sure you tune in, join the brothers, and chill along, learn some fucking recipes for your vapes. Just have a good time.
Okay, well, it's all right. Now, if you think there wasn't more that the meter does, you'd be highly fucking mistaken. If you want to find out all of the things that the meter does, right down below, click on Linktree/the meter does many things. To, in fact, the meter does do many things. That will show you all of the many things that the meter does. All you have to do is click the link right there below. Linktree/the meter does many things. And just want to put this out here. That's a 3-week streak of no.com.
That's a streak. That's a streak of no.com. So progress is progress, baby. I won't look it in the face. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Always appreciated. Thank you, whether you are tuning in to YouTube, catching us on the video, whether you are listening to us in audio format. We appreciate each and every one of you who tune in. So until next time, folks, that is all we've got for this particular episode. So remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless it's getting away with insider betting. They're going to get you, motherfucker. They're going to get you.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.